Hello and welcome. You're watching To The Point. The by-election results from Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and Gujarat were a rude shock for the Bharatiya Janata Party. They've shaken, if not dented, the confidence the party has acquired since its national election victory in May. But the message from the Indian voter holds out lessons that could be more difficult for the BJP to accept. In many ways, it calls for a reversal of some of the things it said and many of the things it's considered doing. So today, over the next 1 hour, we ask how loud and clear was the voice of the Indian voter and what impact will it have on the Indian political firmament. And now joining me to discuss the by-election results and the lessons that must be learned is BJP Rajya Sabha MP Chandan Mitra, Congress Rajya Sabha MP Manishankar Iyer, the editorial advisor of the India Today group Shekhar Gupta, Professor of Politics Zoya Hassan, the well-known Asian Age columnist Ashok Malik, and Samajwadi Party spokesperson Gaurav Bhatia. Chandan Mitra, let me begin with a very simple, straightforward question. Would you accept that the by-election results are a setback for your party, the BJP, particularly after your stunning victory in the May national elections?
Well, no, I don't think there's any setback involved. After a spectacular victory in the Lok Sabha, there were unreal expectations, particularly, I should think, in UP. And I think this result in the by-election reflects people's normal voting behavior when local elections are concerned, when there are local issues, local candidates take primacy over a larger national issue. And the Lok Sabha election was contested on national issue with one overweening national leader. Obviously, results were a little different. I don't think you should expect that to be repeated in every by-election or state assembly election all the time.
You began by saying this is not a setback. Let me remind you that Shrikant Sharma, your party's national secretary, said to the Indian Express today, and it's on the front page, that these are a setback. He says these results have not lived up to our expectations. So do you differ from his line?
No, 1 minute, Karan. It's one thing to say it has not lived up to expectations. I will repeat that. The results do not live up to our expectations except in West Bengal. Elsewhere, yes, they don't live up to expectations. But that does not mean it's a setback. I think these are two very different words, different meanings in the English language.
All right. I'll take you at your word as you so put it, but most people would think that if something doesn't live up to your expectations, it is a setback. But I'll allow you to create a distinction between the two. Let me put, in a sense, Professor Hassan, the opposite view to you. The Center for the Study of Developing Societies has analyzed 1,100 by-elections of state assembly seats between 1967 and 2012, and they've come to the conclusion that when there's a difference between the ruling party at the center and the ruling party in the state, the ruling party in the state has twice as many chances of winning a by-poll than the ruling party at the center. Seen in that light, would you agree with Chandan Mitra that this is not a setback, that this was to be only expected?
No, I wouldn't agree with Chandan Mitra at all. I think this is a very major setback, and it's a setback which has happened within 3 to 4 months, and this is not the first setback. There have been 3 sets of by-polls in the past few weeks, and the BJP has done badly in each one of them. That's number one. Number two, if we go by the CSDS analysis, then how does that explain the Gujarat and Rajasthan? Because in Gujarat and Rajasthan, the BJP is in power, and in both those states, it has done badly. So therefore, I mean, you can take the CSDS analysis only this far. And thirdly, and very, very importantly, I think the whole political context is different. You have a party with an absolute majority, an overwhelming majority. And within 3 months, it's performing as badly as it has done. So I think we can't. I've also read this analysis that you've mentioned, and I was very skeptical when I read the CSDS analysis, because that is about that's about a different moment in Indian politics and Indian party politics, and we are now in a completely different moment, and that kind of analysis is not relevant.
So your bottom line is that there is no comfort, no silver lining, no solace for the BJP in these results whatsoever.
I mean, I have much more to say, but for now I would say yes, that this is a major setback.
Shekhar Gupta, let's come to the message for the BJP that's being echoed loudly and clearly from the Indian voter. Would you accept that this result suggests that the UP electorate has rejected the BJP's claims of love jihad, They've rejected claims made by Lakshmikant Vajpayee that 99.99% of all of those accused of rape are Muslims. They've rejected Shakshi Maharaj's claims that madrasas breed terrorists. Or am I overinterpreting?
Well, I think some of those claims have been rejected by Mr. Rajnath Singh himself. The problem with this is that these are responsible people, particularly the state BJP chief. When he says these things, rest of the party can't say, oh, that is his personal opinion. Or he's saying it, we didn't mean it, go ask him. Because voters can look at him and make up their minds. And I think in India of 2014, there is no vote for beating up anybody. On the basis of community, ethnicity, language, region, nothing. We've seen what's happened to Raj Thackeray in Maharashtra, for example. There is no vote for beating up anybody. This is an aspirational country. That's the reason Modi won his mandate. Because people of India said, look, this is a man who's promising a better government. And they were fed up of Manmohan Singh and Sonia. So they also had to get rid of Manmohan Singh and Sonia. And Modi gave them a credible alternative. Two things now happen. One, any election from then onwards is now a normal election. So there is no pressure to throw out a government you don't like. And second, voters have to remind you that they voted you on a certain agenda, which had nothing to do with love jihad, nothing to do with majoritarianism in any way.
Forget that agenda and you do so at your own cost.
Well, I mean, you've seen this, and look, I think BJP has to realize, if I can take a second extra, that it's a party of change within the Indian political and constitutional system. It's not a party of revolution. India hasn't had a revolution. It's the same constitution. Even if a party of the left came to power tomorrow, they will have to pretty much manage in parameters of the same constitution.
Manishankar, I want to go back to that question I put to Shekhar Gupta about the message from the Indian voter and to what extent it's rejected the BJP's accusations of love jihad, of those accused of rape in UP being 99.99% Muslim. Would you in fact go one step further and say that this vote is a strong affirmation by Hindu India of its secular credentials?
Well, I'd go beyond Hindu India. I'd say it's a strong affirmation by secular India, which includes a lot of Hindus, and it certainly includes the minority communities and people like me, to say that we don't want this kind of language in politics. And they recognize that this kind of language is being used by people who have been put forward by the BJP. I don't make a distinction between the BJP and the Sangh Parivar, or between the two of them and Modi. They all are cut from the same cloth, and therefore I regard this as a rejection of the BJP and its philosophy of Hindutva and all the implications of that philosophy.
Now, Ashok Malik, in May, when the BJP won all 25 seats in Rajasthan, all 26 in Gujarat, and 73 out of 81 in UP with its allies, the stress was almost solely and singularly on development. This time round, Lakshmikant Vajpayee, Yogi Adityanath, Kalraj Mishra, and perhaps Mohan Bhagwat himself actually raised divisive religious and communal issues. Do you accept that the conclusion is simple? When the BJP talks about development, the country believes it and votes. When they raise communal issues or religious issues that divide the people, the party falters.
You know, I agree with you partly, but only partly. While I'm no love jihad or love jihad theme enthusiast, and I do recognize that people got put off by the overall messaging about love jihad, this election was not just about love jihad. If you cover the UP elections and the Lok Sabha elections, religious polarization was a big theme in some districts of Western UP, but not across the state. And I don't think that has changed. In the districts surrounding Muzaffarnagar, which had these unfortunate riots 2 years ago, I'm sure religious polarization is an issue, unfortunately. In the rest of the state, it isn't. From what people tell me, I didn't travel in these elections, what people tell me, the BJP brought up non-religious themes in many districts, in many constituencies, and they still lost. While the overall messaging, of course, went out that it was all about love jihad, which was the failing of the BJP, certainly. But I think three things happened. One, you put off some people with this emphasis by some people on love jihad and religious issues. Second, the BJP in UP has been a very weak and infirm party for over a decade now. Mr. Modi and his sort of compelling personality papered over all those cracks in May 24 or April 2014. This time, those cracks came right out again. The BJP in UP lacks a credible pan-UP leader who can build on a middle-of-the-road, centre-right platform that feeds into people's aspirations and hopes, which is exactly what Mr. Modi did nationally in May 2014. It lacks a similar leader at the state level. And all of those factors, I think, cost the BJP this election. I would argue that even if there was no love jihad mentioned at all by anybody, they may still have done fairly badly.
Gaurav Bhatia, you've just heard 3 compelling reasons why the BJP did badly, and those are 3 reasons, as you've heard Ashok Malik explain, that go well beyond love jihad and the antipathy to that philosophy that was so widely spread. But on the other hand, your party, the Samajwadi Party, has been through a terrible period for the last 1 year, some would say for the last 18 months. And despite that, you've ended up winning 8 out of the 11 by-elections, in fact 9 if you include the Lok Sabha one as well. Are you surprised by your party's performance? Because absolutely no one anticipated that Samajwadi Party will overcome its difficulties and do so well.
Karan, I am not surprised at all, and my party colleagues are also not surprised. The reason is this, that in the Lok Sabha election, the BJP fought the election on the plank of development, and Mr. Narendra Modi, appearing as the star campaigner, promised the moon to the voters of the country. Immediately after he was sworn in, there was a complete U-turn, and it was very evident to the voters of UP especially that the agenda has shifted from development to communalism. And even more surprising was the deafening silence of the Prime Minister when leaders like Mr. Yogi Adityanath were talking about love jihad. Mr. Sakshi Maharaj was condemning a particular community. The nation looked up to the Prime Minister that he would reassure, he would speak, and he will condemn such leaders. Nothing of that sort happened, and I think the new young aspirational India fell cheated and let down. And I think the UP result is definitely showing that if you don't deliver and you promise, then you will have to face the consequences.
Okay.
You were asking Mr. Chandan Mitra about the setback. I think it is a major setback, Karan, and the reason is this, that these 11 seats were not ordinary seats. These were 11 seats which the BJP had won during an SP wave in 2012. These were considered the bastions of BJP, and they have lost 8 out of those 11 seats. It could only be when the voters were really in anguished, and that is why they have voted and given such a strong and decisive mandate to the Samajwadi Party.
Okay.
There is another key point. In Muzaffarnagar, the Samajwadi Party did commit a mistake when they actually tried to counter the communal statements of the leaders by some statements made by the party leaders. This time, I think we've learned a lesson too. The government acted swiftly in Muradabad, Meerut and Faizabad, where the BJP leaders tried to fan the communal feelings.
Okay.
And we countered them by action, and we spoke about development that the government has delivered in the last 2 years.
Okay.
I think that went well with the voters, and that is why they voted for Samajwadi Party in such strong numbers.
Chandan Mitra, I want to go back to that question because I think with at least 2 of my panel saying that this is a serious setback, I want to push that point one more time with you. And I want to pick up on that thought that was made just now by Gaurav Bhatia, that these were critical seats for the BJP. You won them at a time when in fact there was a Samajwadi Party wave. They were your bastions. Not only have you lost 8 of them, but what's even worse is you've lost Rohania in Varanasi, which is Mr. Modi's own parliamentary constituency. And at a time when people thought that the mood and imagination of the country had been captivated by Mr. Modi. In the face of that, even though Ashok Malik has enunciated several reasons why the BJP should have done badly, it has come to the country as a great shock that you've done as badly as this. So can you really say this is not a setback?
Well, let me reiterate. It is not as badly as you put it. You see, the problem, Karan, is that pathological Modi baiters have already started salivating as if they are smelling biryani cooking in their kitchen. That Modi is out. The Modi charisma is over. It's all just a matter of the biryani kind of getting fully steamed. I mean, you know, it's so absurd that a by-election, the by-elections are going to decide the political... Yeah, I think somebody should serve it, or the current should serve it there, because some of them are already salivating. You may as well present a plate before them.
While we don't salivate at the thought of biryani, because this is dinner time, is it a vegetarian biryani you have in mind? Perish the thought.
It should be a secular biryani.
A secular biryani.
A secular biryani.
It should be a secular biryani.
What is a secular
You know, it
biryani?
sounds more and more like a political khichdi to me. Okay,
No,
let's pull ourselves out of the temptation of more culinary flights of imagination.
I think more like
We've gone from biryani to khichdi.
I just can't help it. More like political undiya.
1 minute.
Okay,
Since Gujarat
very
is in
quickly,
flavor.
Chandan, go back to making a serious point and you can continue.
Look, does the biryani that Azam Khan serve, is it a communal biryani or a secular biryani?
All right, but let's not reduce ourselves to a state where in fact we're losing all control of argument. Let me bring you in and let me widen it like this. I want to try and see whether there are reasons beyond the rejection of the communal rhetoric of the BJP that's cost them this. To what extent do you believe that in fact the BJP offered so much, raised expectations so hugely because of Mr. Modi's spectacular victory that it was impossible for him to live up to them and deliver what he calls Achhe Din so quickly? And therefore, this is in a sense impatience that's produced the result, and in a way understandable, because big victories lead to huge expectations and no government can meet them in 3.5 months.
Well, I wouldn't agree with you fully in the way in which you've
Which
put it.
bit do you agree with?
Well, there's several issues that you've raised. Let me just react to some of them. One is that I think it would be very difficult to understand the by-poll results in UP without taking into account the fact that the whole love jihad business has backfired, and backfired very badly. The politics of hate has been rejected by people. Secondly, and very importantly, you have and your panelists have been repeatedly saying that in the UP campaign, not this campaign, but during the Lok Sabha campaign, the whole focus was on governance and development. I would beg to differ. At least in UP, the very appointment of Amit Shah as in charge of the UP campaign was because he is a master of polarization, and therefore,
But that happened after me. That happened after me.
No. I'm saying during the election campaign. The election campaign itself was not focused only on development. There was, of course, development. There was governance, but there was also equally a focus on polarization.
If you're saying that the excellent results in May were a reflection of a partly communalized campaign, why did that communalization not yield results now? Why did it work then and fail now?
Karan, may I just repeat what I said, which is that I said it was a combination. I'm not for a moment saying...
Did they get the balance wrong now?
Well, in UP, more than in other states, the focus was on both, which is to say on governance and development and polarization. Okay. The same may not have been the case.
But that's still not answering my question. If the combination of both yielded brilliant results in May, why did it not do so now?
No, but the point is that this time the focus is almost entirely on polarization.
So they've got the balance wrong?
Absolutely. Okay. But in addition, if I may just say, in addition to that, I think there are two other factors that must be taken into account, and that is that I think there is one very important lesson from this by-election, as indeed the previous one, and that is the importance of the unity of the anti-BJP vote. Okay. Both in Bihar as well as in
let me pause there. I'll come to that in a fairly big way in a moment's time. Let's take it structurally step by step. How much comfort, Shekhar Gupta, as an analyst, can Mr. Modi draw from the fact that he may have lost 13 out of 23 seats which he had in UP, Rajasthan and Gujarat, but in Bengal, where the BJP really hasn't had a seat since 1999, they've won Basirat South and they came second in Chaurangi, and I'm told, if the Times of India facts are correct, that Basirat South has a 63% Muslim electorate, or at least population, somewhere where the BJP ought to have lost, not won.
Well, first of all, I'm a journalist who believes in checking his facts himself. Unless
you won't rely on the Times of India,
or unless it comes from a paper or publication that I edit.
If I said the Indian Express, you would have accepted it.
Not anymore.
Yes, absolutely.
Not
I
anymore.
would. No, absolutely I would. No, absolutely I would. So having said that, BJP opening its account now after a long time in West Bengal is a turning point in the BJP's history. It also tells you that the left in West Bengal is now in terminal decline. Yeah. So BJP is moving into that place. part of the reason also is that Mamta is now more left of the left.
Does the left's terminal decline take away from the BJP's credit?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. In fact, the point I'm making is that because left is in terminal decline, it's BJP that's filling that vacuum, not the Congress party, because Congress party is just not ready there. So
although it should have been, because it's a bigger party, more established.
Well,
in Bengal.
But the tallest leader of Bengal, Congress party in Bengal, is President of India right now.
Right. But all these factors combined, shouldn't that give Mr. Modi at least cause for one small smile?
Look, I do not believe that this is a setback for Mr. Modi. If Mr. Modi looks at things correctly and wisely and cleverly, this may be actually an asset for him, because if he sees the RSS or the conservatives, ideological conservatives actually hobbling him, right, then he can pretty much use this verdict.
I love the language you used. If Mr. Modi looks at it wisely, let's pause. I'm going to take that up, because how wisely Mr. Modi looks at this hinges upon A, the mood he's in, and B, that in turn will determine the future of his government. But let's pause that.
So when he tells you that, please come and let us know.
If he tells me that at all.
Absolutely.
But I promise you I'll share it with you. But in the meantime, Manishankar, I want to put to you the explanation the BJP has for what happened in Rajasthan, because for many, that is an even more surprising aspect of the BJP's setback. After all, in Rajasthan, in May, they got 25 out of 25 Lok Sabha seats. In December, they won 163 out of 200 assembly seats. This time, they've lost 75% of the by-elections. Now, is this a vote of protest against Vasundhara Raje Scindia, as Sachin Pilot was clearly suggesting last night? Or is it, as the BJP claims, a reflection of the fact that many MLAs who had quit after winning Lok Sabha seats wanted their family members to succeed them? That didn't happen, and there was either dissonance or worse still, sabotage, and that has caused the BJP setback in Rajasthan. Nothing that you can claim credit for, something that they themselves have to explain and account for.
These are very convoluted arguments. I think quite simply, with the departure of the Gehlot government, the choice now was between Vasundhara and Sachin. And Sachin Pilot has done an utterly remarkable job of projecting himself as a viable alternative to Vasundhara Raje. And I think the signal that that gives is that perhaps it is time that the younger generation of the Congress were to assume much higher responsibilities than they have been doing so far.
But the problem is that one of the leaders of that young generation wants to run away from responsibilities rather than assume them. And he is one that you pay your first obeisance to, Rahul Gandhi.
I don't accept your argument. The one opportunity I've had of talking things over with him does not persuade me that he's running away from anything.
All right, I'll take your word for it, since he's never had the good fortune of sharing those thoughts with me. Nor has Mr. Modi, by the way. I'm going to widen this discussion a little. It's not just UP, Rajasthan and Gujarat that have been a setback. The BJP suffered setbacks in Bihar, in Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, where they lost one seat that they had, Uttarakhand spectacularly. Is there a bigger, deeper, wider message in all these by-elections? Because literally since May, every by-election has had a fairly substantial measure of bad news.
Look, if you look at Uttarakhand, Bihar and UP, there is a pattern. I agree, Rajasthan is an outlier. Rajasthan is the most surprising, because I can't believe Vasundhara's turned unpopular in 6 months. It doesn't make sense. But Uttarakhand, Bihar and UP, there's certainly a pattern. Infighting within the BJP unit, the lack of a credible, middle-of-the-road, pan-state leader who carries credibility, and a very weak party organization in all three. And UP was, of course, the most spectacular and recent example. But
you're suggesting that the same arguments that you made a moment ago for UP apply to Uttarakhand, and maybe in some measure they apply to Bihar.
Yes,
and
they don't apply to Rajasthan, because Rajasthan has a strong leader, and the country. That's a different explanation.
But what you're saying is, everywhere in the country in May, the BJP's inherent weaknesses of organization, absence of leadership were papered over by Modi's charisma. Now that charisma has retreated because he's PM,
there are some states where the BJP is organizationally strong and has strong leaders, such as Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, despite the by-election defeats. But in Bihar, in Uttarakhand and in UP in particular, it has had very infirm state organizations.
So then the deeper message is that if the BJP doesn't tackle its organizational infirmities, if it doesn't find credible leaders at state level, it is going to continue to lose by-elections.
You see,
that's a terrible message.
There's a big state election coming in UP in 2.5 or 3 years.
There's an even bigger one in Maharashtra and Haryana next month.
True, but let's look at UP for the moment, please. If it's coming in 2017, despite what the Samajwadi Party spokesperson may say, the Samajwadi Party government in UP faces a big crisis because it's been a very disappointing government, to put it mildly. And the BJP needs to be ready, as does Ms. Mayawati, to try and capture that space.
The problem is those 2.5 months is long enough for the Samajwadi Party to be overtaken by a reinvigorated BJP. It's also long enough for the Samajwadi Party to reinvigorate itself and overtake the challenge.
More likely for Mayawati to rebuild the Rainbow Coalition that brought her to power in 2007.
Well, I want to bring up the Mayawati factor with you, Gaurav Bhatia. Would you accept that in fact it was the BSP and Mayawati's refusal to contest by-elections that in fact was the critical element in your victory, because it ensured that by default the anti-BJP political forces were united? You may not have had an alliance to unite you as happened in Bihar not so long ago, but her refusal to contest led to the same thing. And is that the secret of your success, Gaurav Bhatia? Not your good governance, no, the failure of the BJP to fulfill expectations, as you said, simply the good fortune that Mayawati didn't contest.
Karan, anybody who has been visiting various districts in UP during by-polls would tell you that before the results were declared, every psephologist was saying that BSP not contesting would actually help the BJP because the Dalit vote is gravitating towards the BJP. Now, it is too early to say whether that vote bank of BSP has shifted towards SP or BJP. But imagine a scenario that if it has shifted towards the BJP and then also BJP has performed so poorly, what would happen if the BSP had been contesting? I think we need to delve into it deeper when there is data available. But I can tell you one thing, and which is very evident, that on every front, if there was a party that was fighting the communal agenda of the BJP, it was the SP. The BSP has been completely invisible, and they have not been even, countering whatever the BJP has been doing in the state of UP. So therefore, I think the voters of UP also have faith in the current dispensation, and they feel the only party that can actually fight the communal agenda of the BJP is Samajwadi Party in the state of UP. Another quick point I want to make, that people are also today asking that Modi has promised so much. Will he be able to deliver? Because in the last 4 months, I think his persona,
you made that point in your first answer as well. You're actually repeating yourself.
I want to say something. I'm not repeating, Karan. I'm making a slightly different point. I'm saying that has the charm of Mr. Modi peaked and now is it waning? And secondly, he was silent on Mr. Yogi Adityanath, and that has costed him dearly. And if he supports the communal agenda of these leaders, even in future we will see the BJP crumbling.
Gaurav Bhatia, pause a moment. Those predictions are probably music to your ears when you say we'll see the BJP crumbling. But remember, the edifice that has been elected is actually still very strong and still very much a colossus.